Welcome to the final episode of the Basketball Fiends podcast. And to the very end, we are a proud member of the RSN Podcast Network. My co-host for this episode, our 60th episode, my co-host, my partner, my friend through this 60 episode run is none other than Alex Aguilera.
Yes, sir. Right back to you. We are back at it again. Back at it again for one last time. One last ride.
One last ride. You know, we took a break last week, Alex, and we decided at the very last second on Thursday, and I believe it was I who texted, and I was like, you know what? Let's just save it for the last episode. That way we finish on the 60th episode. 61st just didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, it's not like a great number. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with 61, but like 60 is a nice round even number. So
nice even number. And plus, the way Game 6 of the NBA Finals was playing out, I was like, you know what? Golden State's gonna win. You know, it looked that way early on, and so I thought everybody's gonna be doing a podcast, recap Thursday night for Friday morning. I was like, ain't nobody gonna listen to us. You know, I mean, I know there's a few low people that even listen to us now, right?
For our very few loyal listeners,
a few very low listeners.
We got them out there.
We got them out there, but I wouldn't have blamed them had we released an episode and they didn't listen to ours, because everybody and their mama who has an NBA podcast was going to have a podcast or a video or whatever, you know?
That's true, man. And like when I got the text, I was like, you know what? This makes sense. You know, I know he likes his numbers. Is like, you know, Jordan has 6. Kobe got 5, LeBron got 4. So when I saw the 60, I was like, you know what, this guy likes his nice even numbers and all that. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah,
but you know who ruined that for me now is Steph Curry, because Steph Curry was supposed to stay on 3, so now he messed up, you know, because it was Jordan 6, you know, Kobe 5, LeBron 4, Curry 3, Durant 2, but now he messed it up, so now he's up 4 with LeBron. So yeah. So there goes, you know, but I still got the 654. It's still there, you know.
yeah. I mean, 654. You don't got the 3 though.
I need the 3. I need the 3. Who's the closest to getting 3 titles right now? Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I was gonna say Wade, but Wade's retired.
Yeah, and then I would need somebody with 2. Well, actually, Wade has 3. I mean, Wade in the conversation. I don't know, greatest conversation, but yeah, you know, but yeah, so this is our 60th episode, you know, and I wonder what our legacy will be, Alex, among all the NBA podcasts or basketball podcasts in general that are currently still going, or, you know, ones that have been, you know, buried in, you know, taken behind the podcast shed and shot with the shot, you know, whatever, or, you know, whatever you have it, you know, the different phrases that they say. But 60th episode, I think we had a good run. Then we went for what, 2 seasons?
Yeah, 2 seasons, 2 years, pretty much.
2 years, 2 seasons, 2 drafts, 2 finals.
Yep.
What else?
2 finals or 3 finals?
Was it 3 finals? No,
yeah.
Bucks, Phoenix, Golden State, Boston.
Were we around for Miami, LA?
No, we started right on 2021.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, so 2 seasons, but we had a good run. You know, we had a lot of NCAA basketball talk as well. Had some WNBA talk as well. Had some FIFA. FIFA. That's my soccer. You know, because I'm wearing a Telassos. So I got soccer.
World Cup's coming up.
World Cup's coming. You know, it's there. Houston was named the host city. You know, so definitely. You know, was Chicago named a host city? No, I'm trying to remember.
No, we weren't. I knew we weren't going to be a host city.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, Soldier Field is it's actually not one of the smallest. It's the smallest NFL stadium.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I kind of figured we weren't gonna get the World Cup, which is actually interesting because last time the World Cup was in the United States, it was opened up here, which I found kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is, you know, but NFL stadiums have gotten bigger since 1994, and FIFA loves its large stadiums. You know, It's interesting. The record for the best attended World Cup is still the 1994 USA World Cup, you know, because they use just the NFL stadium, so we have the infrastructure, you know. But back to basketball, because that's
Join us
for the Soccer Fiends podcast, right? Join us for the Soccer Fiends podcast. That's the breaking news now, but but I wonder what our legacy would be, you know. And speaking of legacy, I wonder what Steph Curry legacy is now that the Golden State Warriors have a 4th title in the past. What I'm not sure how many years. I can't think right now, but it's
Is
a
it
sport
8?
title.
Is it 7 or 8?
I think it's. Let's go with seven. Sounds better.
Okay.
Well, how many champions do we have in there? We had the Bucks in there.
I was
We had the
15, so 15,
Lakers.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 8. Yeah, it's 8.
Three. 8 years. eight
Yeah.
years. There you go. Uh, but before we get into Steph Curry's legacy, I want to talk about the finals and I want to recap it. I feel like I'll be fair, it wasn't the best finals we've had. There was maybe a
No.
couple close games, but there was blowout. It was just
Eh,
it never felt like one team had control. Not control. I say it never felt like each team were testing each other out. It was more of a battle. It was just like, okay, you want this one, okay, I want this one. You want this one,
right.
I want this one. And then Golden State had their championship pedigree, and they turned it on, and they closed out the series. So in that regard, as a whole, right, on a macro level, I don't think it was a great finals.
No, I mean it was like you said, just it was. I want to say sorry, my eyes all itchy. What a great way to end on a final episode is me
With
scratching
crusty
my eye.
eyes.
I know. I want to say the closest like score was maybe like 10 in this whole final series. I think
Mm.
game 4 was like a 10 point win for Golden State. Um then game 5, I believe, was also just like another 10-point win. That was like the closest margin of victory, but still double digits. And yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like they were just trading blows. Like, okay, game 1, Boston stole, which kind of surprised people. But then you kind of knew, like, okay, Warriors are gonna take game 2. That's exactly what they did. But then they're going back to Boston. Boston takes game 3, and it was just kind of like, back and forth, and then finally Golden State closes it out in game 6, and it was kind of like, okay, that's what most people expected. I like how we were half right. You said Boston in 6. The
Yeah,
series did end in 6, but I had the
yeah.
Warriors in 7, but the Warriors ended up winning. So like we were kind of right. Like either one way or another, we were right either way. So that was kind of nice.
So together we got it right. You know,
Yes. Yep.
that's what you can say. But yeah, I know, and I think Boston has a good chance at returning to the finals. They have a good,
Yeah.
strong team. I think this experience is just going to serve them well. And in the end, Golden State just had a little bit more. Um, think it really was that championship pedigree, that experience.
Yeah.
And look, in this case, offense versus defense, Marcus Smart versus Steph Curry. Steph Curry won out. There were some plays where Marcus Smart was like, he was being okay with. I think Al Horford's man was set the pick, so they would switch, and Marcus Smart didn't make as much effort to stay on Steph Curry. And I'm like, if you're a defensive player, you have to stay on Steph Curry. He's the guy.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so now I'm not sure. Maybe he was still bothered by the injury that he had picked up in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was kind of hampering him. But beyond that, I think Boston should definitely hang his hat on this season. A great season. They
Yeah.
people wrote them off right halfway towards the
Yep.
beginning of the season, and even the playoffs. I mean, they went through uh, to the Brooklyn Nets. Come on, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Then they went to the Bucks. I mean,
Yeah.
defending champions, and then you go to the Heat. Granted that he had some injuries, but even then, that Game 7 was probably one of the best games of the playoffs.
Right.
Top 5 at least. It could have been the Heat in the finals. I'm glad it wasn't, because I think if it was the Heat in finals, I think it would have been a even worse series, just because of how many injuries Miami had. That's it.
They
Just
were
because of
so
the
banged up.
just because of that. Had they been healthy, it's a great series.
Yeah.
Um, but I think Boston should definitely hang its head. And for the Golden State Warriors, it's I don't know if you consider this a dynasty, because the term dynasty, it's almost like the definition has moved. It's kind of like you move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Dynasties were like, oh, you won 3 in a row. That's a dynasty. You know, Lakers in the early 2000s, obviously the Chicago Bulls. Him and
Lakers in the
said
80s.
Lakers in the 80s, Celtics in the 80s. Well, they didn't win.
Right.
I don't think they won 3. I think they won 3 in 4 years, which still that I consider dynasty. Three in
Yeah.
4 years. Um, but then also, then you had the Spurs when they went on their run, where it was like title, no title, no title, title, no title, no title. So it's like, would you consider, people started calling them a dynasty? And I think that's when the definition really started to like shift. At least in the NBA. And so by those terms, you can definitely consider the Golden State Warriors a dynasty. It's still the same team, still the same roster. I mean, the nucleus, right, which is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. So for them, it's I think it's championship number 7 or 8, I believe. Seven, I believe.
For the Warriors,
Yes,
yeah, it's their seventh title. Yep.
seven title. So definitely a dynasty. And for them, it's I think they needed this one. And this ties into Steph Curry's legacy. And here's what I'll say: I think they needed this to validate everything that they've done, the dynasty that they're known for. And
Yeah.
here's why I say that. Right, the first ring, 2015, every team they faced had an injured point guard. They faced the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference Finals, and our starting point guard was some 37-year-old point guard from Italy. Blanking out on his name. I'm blanking out. I'm so sorry. Pablo something. Pablo Prigioni or
Prigioni. Oh, was he with the Knicks? I remember that
yes,
guy.
him. He was a starting point guard for the Rockets in the 2015 Western Conference Finals. Let me just make sure because I don't want to give people these false.
I know, yeah. Paulo Prigioni. I remember I used to do that was like my secret weapon in 2K for whatever reason. It was
No
so
way.
random. I kid you not. If this is the exact guy, Paulo Prigioni was like
No
my
way.
guy in 2K. I think it was in
Yeah.
2K13, 2K14.
Yep, Pablo Prigioni. He was a starting point guard because Patrick Beverly was hurt. And then we go into also the um what was it the finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
They were
Uh
super banged up.
super super banged up. So it was definitely that. And then of course when they signed Kevin Durant, that was just a cheat code. Come on, let's just
Yeah.
let's just keep it,
I mean,
it's
you
what it
knew
was.
Durant was the guy. I was like, all right. I mean, Steph kind of took a sidestep because I mean it's KD, and they went and won back to back. I think they went to three straight finals, but so they won 17, 18, and then they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, in 19. But then of course now, like you said, where I guess they kind of needed this one to solidify themselves as a dynasty, where it was like they won before KD, they won with KD, and then they were able to win after KD. So I mean, once again, just that core of Draymond, Steph, Clay, Steve Kerr at the helm for just that whole dynasty. I mean, he kind of waltzed into that Warriors team that because I was it was oh my god, their head coach before. Why am I blanking on his name? He's on the ESPN telecast. Mark Jackson, Jesus,
Yeah, yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Jackson. I remember when the Warriors are like on the come up, and actually, I actually like Mark Jackson there with the Warriors, and I was just kind of like, man, like the Warriors got like a sneaky team, and
Mm-hmm.
then they fired him, and I was like, oh man, like why they fire Mike Jackson, and then they get Steve Kerr. Forget Steve Kerr goes ahead and wins the ring, and here we are now years later.
Yeah, so and it's for that reason why I think that ties into Steph Curry's legacy is that Steph Curry he needed this win, going back first season everybody was injured, second, third one he had Kevin Durant, and he wasn't the guy anymore, right? He still had his time in the spotlight, but it was Kevin Durant's not team, I guess it was still Steph Curry, but Kevin Durant was the one that led them to those titles. Granted, the system too, right? But uh I think he needed this one, and he needed that Finals MVP because I mean, he obviously he lost the person to Andre Iguodala because of Iguodala's defense on LeBron, and he was playing both sides of the ball, and then he lost to Kevin Durant both years. So winning, I think is for him is the cherry on top of his career. Now, personally, and I know this was a lot of the talking points, last Friday and Saturday and Sunday after the NBA Finals was Steph's legacy and where he is all time. And a lot of people threw out top 10. And I don't know where you stand on it, Alex, but me personally, I don't think he's top 10. I think he's top 20, but I could see why people could make an argument for Steph Curry being top 10.
Okay. Yeah, I guess off the top of my head, I mean, I would really have to write it down. I don't think he makes my top 10. I'll probably say maybe like top 20, top 15. I would say, I guess I would go as high as top 15. I think this is where I wish I had a list. But yeah, I don't, I don't, I mean, look, greatest shooter of all time, hands down. Like, I'm not going to debate that. I mean, come on, it's obvious at this point. Like, if you say otherwise, don't get me wrong. I love Ray Allen. Reggie Miller was
Mhm.
dope, but Steph's on another stratosphere when it comes to shooting. But I mean, as far as like all time great, I guess the reason why I sort of dislike this discussion is like, dude, there's still more left in the tank. Like his career's not done. I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, the Warriors are, if they come in healthy next year, like, bro, like they're more than capable of going back to back yet again. And then that's what ring number 5 for him. It's like
Yeah,
what was that mantra like the saying? It was like what they gonna say now
yeah.
after
What
he
you gonna
just
say
won that
now?
fourth ring. Like they Warriors could very well win another ring. They won this ring without freaking James Wiseman, who was their top pick in 18, I believe, 18 or 19.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
think
mean,
so.
yeah, I mean, like the Warriors were a sleeping giant. To be honest, they were just hibernating. Like the reason why they sucked these last couple years was just because they were banged up. Like they were injured. They were unhealthy. Like, Clay was out 2 years. Steph wasn't 100%. Draymond was hurt. And look at that. They come back this year. Like, I mean, I expect them to have them winning this year? No, actually, I had Brooklyn, which LOL, freaking Brooklyn.
We all did. Both of us did. All. But yeah.
Right. We all have Brooklyn. But I mean, at the same time, you look at this Warriors team, it's like they had time to regroup and reload, and now they're back in the conversation again of being, one of the greatest franchises of all time now. Like now they're in the discussion, with the Lakers, with the Celtics, with the Bulls, with the Sixers and all that. So, I mean, as far as, greatest of all time, I mean, there's still a lot left to be written with Steph Curry. So, I mean, whether you have him in top 20, top 15, top 10, like there's still more left that, I think he has left to offer.
I wonder what else he would need to accomplish to push into the top 10. Obviously another MVP would do it, but I just don't think I don't see it in him. You know,
Mm,
with the competition he has for that award.
yeah.
Another title would definitely also be another one of those things that okay, because now you're at 5.
Yeah.
That's yeah, then that'll be 2 without any, I guess, asterisks if you want to put it. 2 asterisks for
Right.
Kevin Durant, and one is everybody was injured. Granted, for the injury when I mean, you're playing the teams in front of you, right? But there's
Right. In.
context, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think those 2 things could definitely put him into that top 10 bracket. Which is weird for somebody. We're recording this Thursday night on NBA draft night. And let's remember, he was player that wasn't highly touted coming out of high school. He had a
No.
good freshman year at Davidson, and he wanted to play for Duke. I actually just read this story a couple days ago. He wanted to
Oh,
play
you
for
saw
Duke.
that too? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he wanted to play for Duke, but they didn't offer him anything. And after the first season at Davidson, they came calling, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good.
Right.
I'm loyal."
Right. He's like, you
So
didn't want me then. I don't want you now.
yeah,
I respect
Mike
it.
Jones, back then,
Hmm.
Jose Wami. Now he's hot. They all on him. In
Wow,
this
Mike
case,
Jones,
who,
man, Mike
who,
Jones,
who? I'm
Mike
just kidding.
Jones, who? Mike
Mike
Jones, who?
Jones, Mike Jones. So, but so I think Steph's legacy right now is top 20. But like I said, I could see why people will make an argument for him to be top 10.
Yeah, you can make
Um,
that argument.
you could definitely make an argument. I wonder. Here's the thing about the NBA draft that's so unique is that you don't know what players will could perhaps crack into that all-time great, right?
Yeah,
Not many expected Steph Curry to be in that conversation in the first place. So for him just to even be in the conversation speaks highly to the player that he is and that he transforms. So let's remind people he had a lot of ankle injuries in the first couple years of his career.
yeah,
He had to
yep,
change the way he trained uh and look, it's also luck, right? If you're a talented player, you can be the best player, but sometimes it's luck in your NBA career as far as who drafts you, who the team builds around you. In that case, Steph Curry's lucky in where he was drafted with the Warriors. But at that time, the Warriors weren't the Warriors that were used to, right? They had just been bought by their new owners, and trying to make that change. So he was the first building block. So a lot of building blocks could have been drafted today, and who knows? Maybe one of these players cracks that all-time great list. So our the NBA drafts got started off to a bit of a, I guess, buzz. More than typical, right?
yeah,
So typically the number one pick, people kind of have an idea, and it's talked about. And this NBA draft season was no different. Auburn's Jabari Smith was the talk of the town all over Twitter, social media, as the number one pick. Orlando had him in for so many tryouts. He didn't even try out with the Houston Rockets. I'm not sure if he went with the Thunder or not. But he didn't even, he was so expected that he was going to go number one. And on the flip side, the number one pick that actually got picked, Paulo Banquero, which we just found out today, it is Banquero, not Banchero. I was saying Banchero, as I believe you were too, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Yeah,
I was not
but
gonna lie.
I was too, but it's Banquero. He was drafted number one. He didn't even try out for the Magic. Like he didn't even like train with the Magic.
Really,
Like
I actually
yes,
didn't know that.
yes. So
Okay,
and he had trained with the Rockets because he felt that that's where he was going to be picked. And as we now know, that did not happen. The first pick was Paulo Banquero to the Magic, and the number two was Chet Holmgren to the Thunder, and three Jabari Smith to the Rockets. And look, as a Rockets, in the background, in my backyard, and as a fan, and I watch this team. I think he's the perfect player for this system. He's a defensive player. He can shoot the ball, lights out. He's a hard worker. I think his defensive presence is going to open up the floor for especially Opera and Sangoon, who he can now operate in the post like a little bit more. And that's what I'll say for Jabari's been. Paulo Banquero, I was excited because they all said he was coming to the Rockets. Like, yeah, he has it all. So I'm interested to see now the Magic. They have a nice little team with him and Jalen Suggs. And look, Thunder, Chet Holmgren, Sam Presti had seen him as much as he's ever seen any draft prospect. I think that's what they said in the draft. So for them, it was Chet Holmgren. So
yeah,
they didn't, even when they had the
yep.
opportunity to pick Jabari Smith, they were like, we're sticking with Chet Holmgren.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna say
Oh,
more.
yeah.
That's my bad. I'm like, I sat there and I was just like, all right, what's he gonna say about Chet? And then and I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, I know. I kind of felt like OKC, no matter what, was gonna roll with Chet Holmgren. I think him and oh my god, this kid,
Josh,
OKC's
Josh,
Josh
Giddy.
Giddey.
Yeah.
Yes, Josh Giddey. I actually think that's like a nice little duo. And was it one guy that I see that I felt like
Don't
really
forget Sean Gildas Alexander. They're
Oh,
still
Shea
there.
Gilgeous Alexander. That's right. Yeah,
So
that's a
they
nice little trio.
That's a nice little trio, and very high basketball IQ players. I mean, we saw Josh Giddey. Woo! He,
Right.
in a redraft, maybe he gets picked a little higher. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it's
And the Thunder still got a bunch of first round picks.
he still got a whole bunch of first
Like it's
round
so
picks,
many.
so many picks. But I think to me personally, any of the top three to me have star potential. And I felt that the Rockets were in the best position because they're like, we don't have to overthink it. Whoever's there, we're taking.
Yeah.
And I mean, me personally, and I tweeted this earlier. I feel that each Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paulo Banquero, they each brought something different that would help the Rockets today and in the long term, as they become a winning franchise. Each of them could offer something different, but that could help the Houston Rockets. And I feel that same way for whatever team got drafted like that. I feel they're going to help their teams succeed and go forward. So I'm definitely looking forward to how these two players play out.
Yeah, I felt like this was I mean it's such a lame thing to say, just like an interesting draft. I felt like it was I don't know, just a lot of different, I guess, unique talent, I guess in the front end, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I feel like Banquero with Duke. I mean, he was was it? I want to say he was a four, but I mean he moved like a guard.
Hmm.
Obviously, what Chet Holmgren was doing in Gonzaga. Honestly, Jaden Ivey, that was a guy that I thought was gonna go top three. Because I mean the stuff that he did to Illinois at Purdue, I was kind of like, damn it, man, this guy is good. um, but yeah, I mean, I think kind of going back to the first point, as far as like the draft, and you kind of wonder like who might be the guy
Hmm.
to kind of be the star. And I feel like you look at this 2022 draft. I mean, obviously, I mean these guys haven't even picked up the damn ball for their respective organizations. But I feel like you can kind of get a sense that hey, this might be a draft where there's a couple guys that can be the real deal as compared to other years where you look at the draft and you're just kind of like whatever. I think it was that year, the infamous Anthony Bennett year.
that was a very odd draft.
I remember going into that draft. I was just like, man, like there's like no one like just stood out to me. I remember watching that draft and then freaking Anthony Bennett. I think I was looking away and I was just like I turned to the TV and I was like, who?
Who? It's
I
like
was like, who?
who? I mean, it's
Not to
so
bash Anthony Bennett
of
though.
course not, but I mean, when you look at that draft, guess who was the 15th pick?
That was Jan. That was
Giannis,
yeah.
Giannis, Giannis
That's what I mean. Like he
Antetokounmpo.
was right outside the lottery. Like again, like how can you project something like that? And once again, just he was that first building block for Milwaukee. Where it took a couple years even after Giannis landed in Milwaukee before Milwaukee is what they are now. I mean, for the longest in the Central Division. I mean, not that anyone pays attention to the Central Division, but it's like the Bulls always played the Bucks, and it was just like even if the Bulls sucked, you kind of always knew that they can get a win over Milwaukee because they were just kind of always there. And now Milwaukee is one of the powerhouses in the league now, and that kind of started with that pick from with Giannis, and then they make moves and they land with Chris Middleton. So I mean, just hey man, it's the draft, man. This
It's
is
telling
where
you,
you
it's you never know, and 27 pick in that Anthony Bennett draft was Rudy Gobert. I mean, it's just
yeah.
you do know. Second pick was Victor Oladipo. So third pick was Otto Porter. Sorry, NBA champion Otto Porter.
I know it. Former Chicago Bull Otto Porter
Former
Jr.
Chicago Otto Porter. Yeah, he had a short stint, huh? 'Cause I know he was drafted by the Wizards.
Yeah, I remember him getting drafted. Actually, I really liked Otto. I want to say I really liked Otto Porter in that
Yeah.
draft because he came out of what Georgetown, I
Hmm.
think. But yeah, once again, like just the unpredictability, if that's a word, that comes out of the NBA draft. It's like you never know. Like it could be freaking last pick of the draft, freaking Isaiah Thomas, and for a little bit, dude's a stud. I think he could have been, even better if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Hurt, right.
You look at Manu Ginobili, who was this unknown out of Europe, and now he's considered one of the best six men
All
in
time.
in in right all time league history. Like, how on earth are you gonna project that? I mean,
It's impossible, like it's impossible to predict what episode we would end on. I mean, well, at least when we started, right? Like when we started, we thought we were gonna go on forever and have seasons, many seasons under belt. We got into it, not into it, I guess, but I called out the Hoop Fiends for kind of stealing our, I guess,
yeah,
name almost in a way. Not to know we're gonna go at first long as Hoop Fiends goes even longer. But I think they're starting. I haven't checked up on them. They last time I checked up on them, they were doing some football episodes too, some baseball. So they were just all over the place. They weren't
yeah,
consistent. They were consistent with the team. But
mm-mm.
this is our last episode, the 60th episode of the Basketball Fiends. I think it's been a great ride, Alex. I think it's been fun. I think I think back to the first episode, we were still finding our group. I believe and I still remember the first time we did like a trial, because I believe we did a couple trials right before we actually said,
Yeah,
okay. I
yep,
think the first one we were just trying to, we were both, let's be honest, we were both trying to BS our way through it without doing the research.
that's true. That's true. 100%. I was just like, man, I'm gonna talk out of my ass, and hopefully it sounds good.
I was like, huh, this is a little tougher than I thought. I actually need to put a little time into it, do a little
Right.
research, maybe have some little talking points, just kind of, things to reference. Um, but then we got the hang of it, and it was fun. We had a lot of guests on the show. Let's see if we can run through them all. So we had Eric Torres, who gave us some lowdown on horoscopes and how they play in the
Yeah,
NBA. We had your boy, oh my god,
my guy
right,
Gavin, man,
Gavin
Gavin
Good.
Good.
Gavin Good. He came in
Shout
and,
out.
and threw down. Shout out. Michael Carell came also on board, helped with an episode. I think it was the best basketball movies each of us picked.
Yeah,
And then
yep.
of course Rush Williams and Zach Noble from the
That
Bali
was a
Slice
cool one.
podcast. Yeah, that was a cool one on rule changes. We had Bryson, sorry, Red Nation blogger. He's been on a couple times, so it was definitely good times. With the people that came on. We talked basketball.
Yeah.
But it was always a good time on the Basketball Fiends.
Yeah, man. I mean, just from where we started, I remember it was like what freaking middle of the pandemic. I was in my old little room, unemployed, and I was just like, I need something to do. And was Jesus? He's like, hey, you want to do a basketball podcast? I'm like, sure. And then I was like, well, damn it, I don't know anyone that can do the podcast. And I remember you came along. You were just like, "Hey, I'd be down to do the podcast." I'm like, "Great," because I don't got anyone. All right, so I'm down for whoever. And 2 seasons later, I mean, just friendship has blossomed from however far Chicago is to Houston and back. I mean,
Definitely.
I
And we still have to get together sometime and play basketball when next time I'm in the Shy City or you're in Houston. We know just bring your
yeah,
shoes
man.
and likewise we'll have to hoop it up. But yeah, it's definitely a friendship as blossom. We'll have conversations sometimes offline or even sometimes even before we hit record, we're like all talking. We're like, you know what, we should hit record now that we're we're
I
talking
know,
about
yeah.
other things besides basketball.
Yeah, just
Uh,
even the conversations before we even hop on and actually record have
right.
been awesome.
We forget we're like, oh, we have to record a basketball podcast. Sorry, let's
Right.
actually yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll say we're gonna record at 9:30, and before we know it, like it's already getting close to 10. We're like, shit, we still gotta record. Like, like maybe we should stop. We gotta stop ourselves sometimes.
Let's stop ourselves, but shout out to our Esquina for putting this together and letting us
Yes.
hop onto their podcast network. Jose de Jesus Ortiz, Manny Gomez, the two-headed beast that they run rsquina.com. You guys check them out. They have great articles. They do a great job covering the MLB. And I like their perspective. I think I've said it before because both of them speak Spanish. I think they get better stories, better
Yeah.
quotes. As we know, MLB is a lot of Hispanic players, and as you know, Alex, being a Puerto Rican, Hispanic people, if Spanish is the first language, they can express themselves better.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. 100%, man.
I mean, now that you've covered Cubs, you've heard a lot of the Spanish speaking players speak, and you can kind of tell just right away.
Oh yeah, man. Just the passion behind it too. Man, it's beautiful to watch, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, but definitely shout out to our Esquina. You guys check them out, and I don't, who knows? This may not be the last time we do something with our Esquina. Maybe I might write an article. Maybe when the playoffs roll around, I may get back to it. But this was definitely fun. Kind of lost for words, Alex.
Yeah, man. I honestly, a thing that stands out to me is just where we were at in our lives when we first started this podcast and where we're at now. We started off in two different homes. We're in two other homes now. I mean, you got a job, I got a job. We're both definitely unemployed when we started this podcast, and I mean, it's been great. And I mean, I think we're at a point where we're leaving off on a high note. We're not
Definitely.
overstaying. We're not overstaying our welcome.
Definitely, and nothing. That's what it is. Like you said, when we started this, we had a lot more time on our hands. I think at the time I was just was a working freelance writer, so I was busy. But the schedule allowed me to be flexible. But yeah, unemployed, I guess, in the
Yeah, I
official
mean, hey, let's
terms.
call it what it was, man. We
It
we,
was what it
we weren't
was.
working.
But yeah, and then now I got a job, but it's also my web series that I've been working has been picking up steam a lot in the past month.
Human,
Humans, so it's definitely we're shooting today. Thursday is the 23rd. Where our first shooting day is July 23rd for our proof of concept
exciting.
episode. So that's exciting. So I definitely picked up steam, and I like what you said is that we gave it our all each episode, and I feel like the reason why we're stepping back is because our personal lives, we felt we couldn't give that 100%, and I don't think that's fair. We could have came out here and just BS episodes to 100 or whatever, and I just wouldn't have felt right with myself. It just wouldn't sat well right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't like when I do something. It's like I want to make sure that I can give the time and effort to make it as good as it can. And I saw kind of right away when I started working with the Bears, I was just like, oh crap! So this is like, this is adulting. Like, okay, this is new. Like, I definitely got to adjust to this. So I mean, I probably speak for both of us where it's like we're not doing this anymore because we don't want to. It's just like, hey, you know what? If we were gonna keep doing this, we want to put forth the best effort to have an intelligent, fun, conversation about
Yeah,
basketball. just chill out on a Thursday night. I mean, just to cool off. I don't know. Like there was days, where I kind of had just kind of like a rough day at work or something like that, or it was just kind of a meh day. But then it was like, hey, I get to talk to Jesus about
Talk
basketball.
basketball.
So it was just a nice, little thing to look forward to during the week, especially, just sitting at home, freaking pandemic, like I couldn't go outside. It was like, all right, we're recording today. Like, gotta let the parents know. I'm like, hey, you guys gotta keep it quiet because
Keep
I'm
it quiet.
recording now.
Yeah, definitely. It's and it's true. I didn't even notice the background as well has changed. We started in
Yeah.
different homes, right? So
Yo.
that's definitely fun. But yeah, but our final thank yous has to go. We already thanked our guests. We thanked our podcast network, Manny and Jesus. But because the most important people is the listeners, right? The people that tuned in, that came back week after week to listen, and even those that just listened to a couple and said this is not for me. Hey, we appreciate it. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't like a specific flavor. Totally understandable. But if you gave us a chance, that's all I can ask for.
Right. We can't
So
please everybody. So
can't please everybody. Not everybody likes peanut butter ice cream. What can you do?
peanut butter, I guess I don't know if I would eat peanut butter ice cream. That doesn't sound right.
What peanut butter ice cream? Like peanut butter swirl ice cream or like chocolate peanut butter ice cream? Oh, that's delicious.
Well, okay, chocolate peanut butter, I think I would do, but just peanut butter straight up. I'm very like peanut butter and jelly sandwich type of guy, and that's
Me too. I love peanut
that's
butter
it.
sandwich.
I
Yeah.
know, but that's it for me. That's it. Like,
And there you go. See, not everybody's gonna like everything, but I would hope you at least give it a try. Like one scoop, like one taste. At least I think you would at least try, wouldn't you?
yeah, I wouldn't
There
mind
you go.
trying it. Like, I'm not
Just
against
once,
like
right?
not trying
Just
it. Like, I'll
trying it.
try it once. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, then then I don't. I'll just probably pop in a Baskin Robbins one day, be like, "Can I get a
A
uh,
taste.
taste like the taste test of the peanut butter ice cream?" Actually, I'm still
Which
pissed about Baskin Robbins because one time I went and I wanted a strawberry milkshake and they didn't have strawberry, so I was like, "Okay, let me get a chocolate milkshake." They didn't have chocolate. And then can I just get a vanilla milkshake? They didn't have vanilla either. I was just like, how do you not have the top three ice cream
what?
flavors of all time? So they had like this vanilla
Yeah,
like fudge flavor, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll roll with that. But
yeah. Then they need to have their ice cream license revoked.
I was like, how like of all places, freaking Baskin Robbins.
Of all places, and see, yeah, yeah. But see, like, going back to what we start with ice cream
I know,
flavors,
yeah, I know,
not everybody's gonna like anything, but
right?
we thank you if you give us a chance. We thank you. We came back and listened every week. And I know we had some loyal listeners out there. But as we get close to 40 minutes, probably our longest episode ever. No, I think one time we recorded with Manny 47 minutes. There was no way we're ever gonna get to 47 minutes.
Nah,
You let Manny
nope,
talk to him. You got to
yep.
cut him.
I know, I know.
But this is still one of our longest, and I think as for our last episode, I think it's only right. But yes, 60th episode, putting this book in the shelf. Maybe we'll pick it up sometime down the road. Who knows, for a one off
Right.
or whatever. But right now we're gonna put
It,
this book
it's an
back in the
open-ended
shelf.
conclusion. Let's put it that way. It is an
There you go.
open-ended conclusion.
There you go. It's like when you put a book in the shelf and then the sequel comes out like years later, you're like, ooh,
All
nice. And
right.
then
Yeah.
so I consider that. So, Alex, any last words?
Ah, man, just thank you to Annie and everyone that ever listened. Thank you to you for hopping on and being on this journey with me as well. I couldn't have really imagined or expected it to become, what it is now. Like you said, I'm kind of at a loss for words as well, where it's like, holy crap, like this is over. It just became sort of a routine, in my life to just hop on every Thursday night, occasionally every Wednesday, and just talk hoops with you. And but I'm excited for what you got going on. Um, with your series, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, man, just excited for what's next for us, I guess.
Well, you definitely took you definitely stole my thunder because my last thank you was gonna be to you as well. But I guess that just makes sense,
Mm,
But yeah, thank
mm,
you as well for bringing it every week, and like you said, it was we'll say routine. I knew, oh, it's Thursday, I gotta record. Like, well, Wednesday we were texting each other topics, so it was just got into that routine. And next Thursday it's gonna feel a little off because even in the off seasons we were still doing a couple episodes here and there.
yeah. Yep.
So we were talking WNBA, so But yeah, no, thank you for this was always fun with you talking, and like I said, even the topics that didn't even make the cut, right? We're just
Yeah.
talking about just life and things that we both like. So yeah, definitely it was fun. Yeah, I don't think I could have done it with anybody else. Of course, people always say that right afterwards. In the
Right.
beginning, I was like, "We'll see." I don't know about this guy, and at the end, it was like,
Right.
"He was the only one I could have done it with."
Right. I was just
Oh.
like, Jesus. I was just like, dude, you're telling me to make the podcast? He's like, oh no, another Jesus. I'm like, there's another Jesus. I'm like, okay, let's see
We'll
how
see
it
how this
goes.
goes. Right?
Right.
Exactly. Let's see. Exactly. There you go. See. Yeah, but no, but this was fun. Once again, thank you to listeners. Uh, all I can say is thank you, Alex, and yeah, we'll definitely still keep in touch, you and I. But
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
we'll, we'll definitely pull out this book every one sometime down the road. With that comes the end of our 60th episode. Thank you so much for listening. See ya.
Deuces.